Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to the today's topic. Welcome to the today Facebook Live, of which the topic is how avoiding emotional tension creates self-sabotage. By the end of this video, I would like you to really understand how the dynamics of embracing versus avoiding emotional tension is actually determining whether you will succeed in the areas of dating, in the areas of romantic relationship, and in the areas of business. Before I start even speaking, I want you to not understand, I want you to not believe me, anything I say, unless it makes sense to you. Okay? What I'm talking about here is not dogmatic. It's not, it's so because I said that. It's common sense. It's common sense. And when you don't know these things and you're trying to figure it out with your head and your mind is dragging you all over the place, you might be stuck for a really long time. For some people, this can be decades. So only take everything I say and only take it for your own, only if it makes sense, only if it makes sense to you. Okay. Having said that, having said that, and having said this disclaimer, um, let's talk about a little bit about emotional tension first. But at this stage, if you saw some of my other videos, you probably know that the core symptom of the nice guy pattern is avoiding emotional tension. If you're avoiding emotional tension, it's the underlying symptom or is the underlying motivator under inability to say no, under doing things that you don't want to do but you want to be nice. It's underlying to you be faking smile and doing behaviors to relieve others from sort of social discomfort. Because underneath all of this, underneath assertiveness, there's emotional tension. If you want to approach a girl that you like, it's not about what you say, it's not about how you say it, it's about whether or not you handle the emotional tension that will come out of you expressing your individuality, right? If there's no tension, you do everything like everyone else. You do everything that is normal, right? Normal means normalized. So if you do everything only that which is normal and normalized by the society, there's going to be no tension. If you're going to do things that are not normal, that are somehow weird, somehow crazy, somehow different, then you need to step into emotional tension that it requires. So, stepping into emotional tension in this sense is really your expression of individuality, of who you are. If you never ever step into emotional tension and you will create perfect mask, perfect persona to be absolutely certain that you will always be accepted by everyone, you will never really bring anything new to the world. You will never really learn how to express your individuality. You will never really discover why you're here, what is your purpose, and so on. Okay, so emotional stepping into emotional tension is expression of your individuality. It talks about who you are as a person, what decisions you make in the face of threat, in the face of challenge, and how you express yourself as a man, as a person. Now, if you are stepping into emotional tension regularly and you're releasing emotions and the tension that's behind that. What happens is that over time, your ability to handle and enjoy emotional tension grows, right? So every time you step into tension and every time you release tension from your body, you're able to handle the same situation the next time with more ease, right? So, for instance, when it comes to people who in pickup community they call them naturals, these guys are really people who really have a lot of ease with this, for whom it's really natural and who've been doing this for a very long time. And I mean, this is one aspect of it. This is one aspect of it, especially with women. But the other aspect of that is that once you handle emotional tension, you learn how to handle more. The next time the next time when you find yourself in a situation, the tension is not going to be there, right? So it's not that you're going to get better at solving the same problem that was there before. You're going to annihilate the problem completely. Like for instance, I see this with guys who are working with sexual tension when they're having a lot of sexual fear and a lot of sexual shame for various experiences from the past. Very often they don't want they go on a date, but they're extremely mental, they're extremely robotic, they're extremely talking about things that are, in a way, like nice. It's nice to talk about these things, but there's no juice. There's no fun. There's no turn on. There's no tension, of course. There's no sexual tension. So there's no flirt, and it's boring. When they release sexual shame and sexual fears, what happens is that completely automatically they will start doing these things. They will start being more sexual. They will start enjoying themselves sexually, which doesn't necessarily mean jerking off while being on a date, right? Like this, it means that you enjoy the pleasure in your body and you enjoy the pleasure of being with another person, talking with another person, and feeling the sexual spark that's in there. And when you let go, or when you keep letting go of sexual shame and of like all the trauma and all the emotional baggage that's underneath that, these things start to happen automatically. The same way, when you are handling more and more tension over time, what's going to happen is that your baseline for tension is going to go higher, right? If you're having extreme anxiety, and if you are having often panic attacks, and if you're having a lot of tension in your body and in your mind, you go through the world and it looks like everything is difficult. So the baseline and everything is difficult, like you have to avoid tension all the time. So the baseline for how much tension you can handle is already very, very low. And it requires very little tension for you to feel uneasy, for you to feel unsafe, for you to feel like you are not loved by other people, and so on. When you keep growing these skills, you're going to get better at this, and completely naturally you will handle more tension. And it's not that you'll be better at solving the problem that was there previously. What's going to happen is that the problem is not going to happen, right? Because what used to be a challenge for the mind is not the challenge for the mind anymore, because now this baseline of tension is easy. It's just this, I'll give you an example. When I do live workshops, we do exercises with guys. One of the exercises is that they have to ask a stranger what's the time. If you're having a lot of tension related issues and a lot of tension avoidance, this will be a difficult. It's going to be difficult to ask a stranger what the time is, and you'll have thoughts like, "How do I say it? How do I do it? Whom do I ask? Is this okay? Is this not creepy?" And all this kind of stuff. But once you do that, and you do it again and again and again and again and again, what happens is that you get relaxed into it, you get used to it, and this level of tension for you will not be challenging anymore. So it doesn't happen that the next time you're going to go ask for the time after some amount of practice and after some amount of releasing around that, it's not going to happen that when you're presented with that situation, you're better at solving it and you solve it faster. What happens is that you just solve it intuitively, you solve it automatically. Another example of this is when you when you are doing phone calls. If you are working for a company, that there's a kid running around on a skateboard, so I'm getting distracted a little bit. If you were doing phone calls, when you started in your company, in your career, and you had to do the phone calls, probably first you were really thinking, you're really overthinking what's the right thing to say, how to say it, and so on. Over time, you get more relaxed into it, you get used to the tension of making a phone call, and now you just see who is the person you have to call to. You think about what is the intention that you want to achieve with this phone call. You pick up the phone and you make the phone call, right? And it somehow happens spontaneously, intuitively. This is what happens when you keep stepping into tension and when you keep raising the amount of tension you can comfortably handle and enjoy. Now, how avoiding emotional tension creates self sabotage. Emotional tension is called emotional tension because it's underlying to emotion. If you feel tension, you can be 100% sure that the emotion, some kind of emotion is coming up. Not some kind of emotion, but some specific emotion is coming up. We have many, 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 many emotions. There's 6,500 words for emotions, but you can take these and you can divide them into 11 clusters of emotions. And so for men especially, it's so much easier to really not understand, to really get into what they're feeling, having a specific label for that, and working through that emotion. So when you step into tension, this is what happens. Some of these feelings are starting to come up. If you're having high emotional intelligence, high emotional literacy, you'll be very good at labeling them with names and communicating what they are. If you are good in labeling your emotions and communicating them, you'll be good at doing the same with other people, and you'll be good at working through your own emotional issues because of this, right? Because it's easy to make sense out of things that you understand and you can name. When you don't, this is going to be challenging for you, right? Um, and how avoiding tension creates self-sabotage. Now, all emotions that you can possibly feel are created by three desires, by three core desires. You can, if you are into Buddhism, for instance, you can relate this with what Buddha said, that desire is the root cause of all suffering. This idea is, in a way, is this concept taken and getting going deeper. What kind of desire? What is this desire? The desire that is underneath all emotions, there are three types of that. It's desire for control, desire for approval, and desire for safety. And if you think about this, every possible feeling you can possibly have is one of these things. You either feel apathy because you want approval from someone, you want love, you want validation from someone, you want someone to like you, and you don't get it. If you keep trying harder and harder and harder, it's too much, you don't understand it, you give up, you feel apathy. If you are feeling afraid because you want to say something stupid, you're going to be rejected, that's wanting approval, right? You want their approval, because of that you feel fear. If you're angry because someone rejects you, you didn't get the approval that you wanted, so now you're angry, right? So wanting approval is the first one. Wanting control is the second one. If you try really, really hard in life and you try to build a business and no matter how hard you try, nothing is working, you get apathy because you have no control, right? If you go to do public speaking or let's say stand-up comedy performance, and you're shit scared because you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know if they're going to be laughing, it's because you don't have control. If you Now let's keep another one, sadness. If someone of your loved ones, but I'm going to use an extreme example, if someone of your loved ones passes away, and they pass away because, yeah, for whatever reason, you're feeling sad because you don't want them to leave, right? And you don't have control over what's happening outside in the world, and it hurts. And you don't want to let it go. You're going to be in it more and more and more and more, and you might need therapy to actually work through that. There's wanting control, and wanting approval and wanting control both culminate in wanting safety. Because you don't have control, because you don't have approval, you don't feel safe. And when you don't feel safe, you feel emotions, right? When you are about to jump out of the airplane with a parachute, you're going to be shit scared. Why? Because you don't feel safe. But this is really like a physiological safety. We can take this to the psychological safety, which can totally be wanting to approach a girl outside in the street because you like her. If you tell her that, hey, I just saw you from up there and I think you look amazing in that green dress, which is, by the way, something I literally did like 1 hour and a half ago. If you do, if you feel fear, is it because saying this to her makes you feel your desire to feel safe, right? If you feel rejected, if she raises her eyebrows and she's like, what kind of creep are you? Like, why? What? These kind of reactions you get, you're probably going to feel embarrassed. And if you feel embarrassed, other people see that you're embarrassed. First of all, you don't have their approval, you don't have control about the situation, and this makes you feel psychologically unsafe. This goes way back to the, like, you can look at this evolutionary psychology and biology, because if you feel all these emotions and other people see you, and you'll be rejected, and you will be in a way separated from the rest of the group, this is extremely unsafe, right? So the reason why this creates self-sabotage is because if you are feeling like, the amount of tension you can handle depends on how much approval are you comfortable with. Okay, so if you are having certain amount of approval, certain amount of love, and certain amount of admiration you receive from other people, and you suddenly you are put on the spotlight, and suddenly you experience more than you're used to, you're gonna feel unsafe, right? If suddenly you're used to having a certain amount of control, suddenly you have a lot of control, you're gonna feel like it's too much control to handle. That's gonna make you feel unsafe, and you're gonna go right back. To give you an example, I have a friend who was doing a lot of approaching, who was doing a lot of, like, in a way, like also some pickup stuff, and for him it was very difficult to approach women. And he was always afraid of rejection. He was always afraid of being invalidated and being embarrassed. And sometimes he would go out and he would have a good day. And when he had a good day, he approached some girls, he gave out some compliments, he spoke with some people. It felt nice for him, but the amount of approval that he received from women, when some women came to him and she started to flirt with him, and then she gave him her number, he for him it was overwhelming. He just couldn't handle that. He was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and he went into overwhelm, and it was too much for him to handle, and then he went right back. Another example, maybe a little bit more tangible, are people who win money in lottery. They have a certain amount of control thanks to the amount of money that they have in life, right? It's control when it comes to what kind of groceries they buy, what kind of vacations they go to, where they hang out, and all this stuff. So once they win lottery, suddenly they will be experiencing a lot of control, so much control that they never had before in their lives. And you know what the research, I mean, research, it's not even research, the statistics says. I think it's more than 75% of people who win lottery go broke in 3 years, I think. Maybe check the numbers, but the numbers are really outrageous. Like vast majority of people who win lottery go broke right back. Why? Because the tension that the new level of control and approval that they suddenly experience is too much for them to handle. So they unconsciously self-sabotage so that they get back to the amount of tension that was comfortable for them and they can feel safe in there. Okay? So if you will be avoiding emotional tension, what's going to happen is that your baseline tension for how much approval you can handle, how much control you're having, how much safety you're experiencing is not going to grow. And instead of growing and moving forward and expanding your life and life of those around you, instead of this, you're going to go to a temporary high, temporary feeling good, then being compensated by the opposite extreme, by the temporary bad, by the temporary low, in order to compensate this to get you back where you feel safe, right? If you don't get used to feeling safe in the new levels of approval, in the new levels of control, you're going to fuck it up for yourself with the best interest in mind, and that is to make you feel safe. Okay, so this is the mechanism how avoiding emotional attention creates self-sabotage. I saw it in my own life. I mean, in some areas I still see it because I'm also a person who practices this and who's moving forward, who's growing this. But when it comes to people who are unaware of this, they are run by this extremely. They are run by this extremely. So if you want to get out of the cycle, if you want to get out of the ups and down cycle of self-sabotage to get you to feel safe, to get you to feel safe by this inefficient mechanism, then the best way to do this is to learn how to handle emotional tension, learn how your body processes the emotional tension, and let the body process the emotional tension. In a way, once you know emotional releasing, then dig up the emotions that you're experiencing that are preventing you from actually feeling safe and feeling loved and living the life that you want to live, whether it's dating, relationships, or business. And then stepping into emotional tension every day, regularly, making it a habit that's automatic, that's effortless, so that you can just raise your confidence for the rest of your life and improve the quality of your life for the rest of your life. Okay? So that's it for today, folks. But it's not completely yet because there is one more thing that I always share in the beginning, that I always share in the end. And that is if you are tired of running away from emotional tension, and if you are tired of constantly trying to figure out the way how to the way around dating or relationships or solving the same business problems over and over again, what I highly recommend to you, book a free session with me where we will talk about what you're dealing with. We want to talk about where you're at, what is the root cause of why you're having these issues, why you're having these problems. And then I'm going to help you craft a step by step game plan of how to overcome these. Okay. So when you have this game plan in front of you, it's all for free, and you like this, then we're going to talk about whether or not it is a good idea for us to work together, if you're a good fit. Okay. So if you want to book a session with me and book the session for free, go to bymaros.com/book now. You will be taken to a calendar page where you pick a date and time that works for you the best. And then you're going to go through a very short questionnaire where you'll ask a bunch of questions so that I can know what is important, what is relevant for you, so I can prepare for the session as well. And then we're going to go after it. Okay, so if this is something that you want to do to grow your confidence, to raise your masculinity, and work through the things that are holding you back in life, go to buymeros.com/book now and book the session with me today. So hopefully I'm going to talk to you soon. And until then, have a wonderful rest of the day.